And just a quick note before we dive into this week's recommendations. Normally we record Q-Tips pretty hot and fresh. We do it on a Monday. We release it on a Wednesday for the following Friday. That isn't quite the case for the month of May 2022 because I'm out on a little expedition, which means that we recorded all of these episodes early. We actually recorded them at the end of April. So what I'm getting at is I apologize if anything is not actually on streaming by the time you listen to this episode, even if it just came out. We tried to pick things that we thought would still be on, but as usual, streaming services are a little bit unpredictable in terms of when things come and go. So I am offering a 100% money-back guarantee on these episodes. If we recommend something and you go to watch it and it's not on streaming, I will refund you 100% of the money that you spent on this podcast. Welcome back to another installment of Q-Tips from the Videostore Junkies. And as you may have heard in the disclaimer at the beginning of this episode, I am actually not recording this the week that it is being released because I am somewhere in the great outdoors. Hopefully my car didn't break down like 20 minutes outside of town. We'll see. But so normally, you guys do you guys do themes usually. Some of you do themes like every week. You have a theme for both your picks. Well, I'm going to show all of y'all up, and I'm going to have a theme for this entire month. That's right. So I'm out in the great outdoors. So my theme the entire month is going to be the great outdoors. And I'll actually kick us off because I've got I've got one about the great outdoors in a foreign country, if you're an American. And this one's about a couple of guys who decide to go on a hiking/camping trip in Sweden. And it's kind of they're kind of trying to remember, or I guess memorialize a friend of theirs that they lost. And at some point they decide to go off trail, which always works really well, especially if you're hiking places that you don't know. The name of the movie is The Ritual, which if you're out in the woods and there are rituals going on, it's probably nothing good. It's nothing you want to be involved with. Unfortunately, these guys stumble upon some rituals and some scary shit happens. So that's all I'll say about that. The movie is on Netflix. I didn't write this down. I think it's based on a book, but I can't remember who the book is by, so I apologize to that person. Maybe I'll put it in the outro. But either way, let's move along to our next person. And I think the next person this day is going to be Bill. Bill, yeah.
I like The Ritual.
Yeah.
Or actually not Bill.
No, go ahead. I was like, I did it last week, but that was last week because we're not recording these all at once. So go ahead.
Yeah. So, last week I mentioned that I think 1957 was the best year for black and white monster movies. And I received ones of emails agreeing with me and mentioning two more that I had to put in here. And the first one is The Black Scorpion, which is the first movie that I remember seeing as a child, probably through the slats of the crib on TV. This movie affected my life. It's about, as you probably predicted, a giant black scorpion that comes from an earthquake, comes out of the center of the earth, and attacks Mexico. In fact, there's a whole bunch of black scorpions, but there's one really big one, and he eats all the others and then attacks trains. It's great. It's got stop-motion animation by Willis O'Brien, who did King Kong, and an underrated genius named Pete Peterson, who is just absolutely phenomenal. They use some of the models from King Kong, from the spider pit sequence that's been lost and apparently will never be found now, but some of those models still exist, and they have a whole sequence that takes place in this cavern where these creatures, these insect, crab, octopus things are coming out and chasing people. Absolutely terrifying. This is just mind-blowing if you're a kid. Great animation. Very low budget. You can see where some corners were cut and everything, but still a fun movie. So The Black Scorpion, which I believe can be found on Pluto. And I will send this over to Paul.
Oh, why? Thank you, Bill.
Oh, sorry. Can I just butt in real quick, Bill?
Sure, yeah.
If you can try not to fidget while you're talking because the mic picks all that stuff up. That's fine.
These damn cats.
Fine.
No, I guess it's got a
it's a cat.
It was a cat tail smacking into the microphone.
Okay, sorry.
Well, in that case, it's acceptable.
All right. Shall I go?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay. All right. Let me take you. This film came out mid 1970s. You have an oversized predator who is attacking people in a resort area, and the law enforcement officer has to take care of it. Nope, it's not Jaws. It's a year later. It's 1976's Grizzly by William Girdler. Woohoo! Starring Christopher George as the park ranger who must battle this giant 18-foot grizzly bear. I remember hearing about this as a kid. I remember my cousin Scott Lebedo telling me about how at one point the grizzly picks up a woman and eats her like a hero sandwich.
Wow.
And it's not a great film, but it's fun, and they rip off Jaws so badly in this, especially the ending. It's great.
Yeah.
And this is one that I think Mr. Mulligan can riff on the sequel they tried to do, Grizzly 2, which Grizzly 2: The Revenge, which for years only existed on a crappy print you can get on YouTube without the grizzly bear in it because they never had the funds. Recently, the production company actually apparently got funds and put the bear in, which I think takes away part of the fun. Plus, it's available on Amazon. That's available on Amazon Prime, but I wouldn't watch it because apparently they really screwed the other people out of lots of money, so don't give them any money. But Grizzly, the original one, you can watch still, and that's on the Roku channel, Hoopla, Tubi, and IMDb TV. So again, that's Grizzly from 1976. And speaking about getting...
Can I just mention a couple things?
For it.
One, Grizzly 1, the first Grizzly, has one of the greatest posters ever by Neil Adams, the comic book artist who revitalized Batman. It's a spectacular poster that would be worth putting on any wall of your house. And as far as Grizzly 2, the only reason anyone even cares about this piece of crap is that the cast was a bunch of people who, for the rest of their lives, would live in shame at being a part of Grizzly 2. Laura Dern, Charlie Sheen, John Rhys Davies, Louise Fletcher. I mean, wow. There's some real good stuff there. But yeah, it's what I've seen was dreadful without the bear, and I can't imagine putting the fake bear in there improve things much.
I actually find it. Sorry, I find it hard to believe that John Rhys Davies has ever regretted anything he's been in. But I don't know.
Well, okay, fair enough.
No offense to him. I love John Rhys Davies, but
and obviously Charlie Sheen has never regretted anything he's done, films or otherwise. So, but Laura Dern, I'm sure Laura Dern, has some shame.
Well, moving on from Grizzly, and as like I would say, speaking about being eaten by bears. Renee, what have you got for us?
Oh, my goodness. So I have an unintentional theme. My first pick, and I believe this is one that Mr. Mulligan does not quite care for, but I'm going to do it anyway. It's a movie that's based on a Stephen King novel, so it's got to be a little bit sort of good. It's this couple, and they are going through town, and they get stuck in this yeah you know where I'm going. Yeah. They get stuck in this town full of horrible children, and I love children, and honestly I have to tell you I'm a little bit confused by somehow at the end. We can talk about that part offline, but it's a boy that is kind of taken over as the leader of this town, and his name is Isaac, and he's a real pain in the ass, and he gets the kids to kind of do his bidding, but is it his bidding, or is there a darker force behind it all? I don't know. You'll have to watch the movie. It's called Children of the Corn, and it's available on Amazon Prime, Tubi, Shudder, Roku, and AMC Plus. Probably a handful of other places you can find it. So again, that movie is called Children of the Corn. And I have to give it back to somebody, and I forget who went first. Was it Bill?
Zach.
Oh, shit.
Zach.
Hey, Zach, how you doing?
Yeah, hi. I will point out at this point you probably have to specify you're talking about the 1984 version of Children of the Corn, because I think there have been 3 movies just titled Children of the Corn at this point.
I am talking about that one with the one and only Courtney Gaines, who I just thought was adorable when I was younger. I mean, he's still adorable, but when I was a kid, I was just like, oh, look at that ginger cutie. Anyway, yeah, I have weird taste. What can I say?
Yeah. And then you can also do a marathon, because I believe there have been, 13 Children of the Corn films. So, anyways, before I get Bill started, I'm going to launch into my second pick.
Sorry, Bill.
So my first pick was The Ritual. So what better film to do a double feature with than Rituals? Now, this is not a sequel to The Ritual. This is the 1977 survival horror film. It's a Canadian film about a couple of doctors who go out into the wilderness. They're just trying to relax, have a good time, kind of unwind a little bit. But, this, if you've ever seen any horror film based in the the wilderness, none of that stuff's going to happen. And they're probably in trouble. And yeah, believe it or not, they are in trouble. This is I don't want to say this is a great movie. It's actually, I don't even know if it's a good movie, but it was a kind of a fun movie to watch. It's like a pretty blatant kind of Deliverance ripoff, just without all the like particular nastiness that film had. I will say this movie does have Hal Holbrook in it. So, if you're just watching it for him, nothing else, then it's reason enough to watch it. So, yeah, not a great film, but it is a kind of nasty, kind of gritty horror film. It's actually one of those movies where I don't know if a good print of it exists. So this one's on Prime Video, Tubi, Shudder, Fandor, and Plex. And I watched it on Prime Video, and they had what looked like a bad VHS rip of the movie, and it kind of seemed like an appropriate way to watch it. So once again, the film is Rituals. And I'm going to pass it over to Bill for his second pick.
My second pick, again, from the glorious days of 1957, 20 Million Miles to Earth. Now, this movie is directed by, who gives a rat's ass who it's directed by? It's a Ray Harryhausen movie. There is no more thankless task on earth than to direct a Ray Harryhausen movie, because nobody cares. If the movie's good, it's all because of Ray Harryhausen. And if the movie's bad, it's despite of Ray Harryhausen. There's no way you win in this deal. Ray Harryhausen, for those who don't know, and you should be properly ashamed of yourself, was the special effects genius who took stop motion animation, where he took little articulated dolls and moved them frame by frame and brought them to life. It's the greatest special effect that's ever been done. It just, you watch that as a kid, at least when I was a kid, and it was just the most amazing thing, and it totally got you into films and movie making. Nowadays, kids look at it and like, it looks fake, and small wonder the world is going to hell in a handbasket. It can all be traced to that loss right there, death of magic. Anyway, a spaceship goes to Venus and comes back, and they bring a little tiny thing from Venus, this cute little two-legged, they call him the emir, I don't know why. And it's in Italy, and he starts growing and growing because the Earth's sun, or science, and he keeps on growing, and there people are trying to net him and everything. You feel bad for the thing. I mean, he's minding his own business on Venus, and then they drag him here, and now he's growing out of control. It ends up with a big fight between the army and the emir on the Colosseum. And this movie literally exists because Ray Harryhausen was looking for an excuse to go on vacation to Italy. So he wrote this screenplay, or helped write the screenplay, where it would take place at the Colosseum. So, of course, they had to send him to Italy so he could take pictures. What a joke. It's great. It's one of my favorites. The emir himself eventually was turned into the Cyclops for Seventh Voyage of Sinbad. Unfortunately, back then, those movies were pretty low budget, so they had to recycle their monsters, at least the insides. But lots of fun. Again, 1957, man, what a great time to be a kid. All these good movies coming out. And I will send it to a guy who's also kind of like a kid, Paul.
Why, thank you. I thought you were going to say like a Cyclops.
No.
My last pick was about a giant bear, 1976. Let's jump forward ahead 3 years. Director John Frankenheimer, director of such,
God.
Bill knows what's coming.
Yep.
Director of such classic films as Birdman and Alcatraz, The Manchurian Candidate, says, you know what? We need to worry about the environment. I want to do an environmental horror film. So he came up with Prophecy from 1979, playing on Amazon Prime, Paramount Plus, Epix, and DirecTV. So Robert Foxworth plays I guess he's like an environmental scientist, and he's sent to investigate possible pollution at a paper mill, which there's also conflicts with the Native American group that's in the area, and the Native Americans have a prophecy that this beast made up of all different beasts will come and save them. Well, apparently the mercury in the water causes the fetus of a bear to stop development at various stages. So you have this bear that they wanted to think looked like it was made of different parts, but of different animals. But Leonard Maltin described it as looking like a giant salami. So it's often referred to as the giant salami bear. And yeah, it's not a great movie, but it has a place in my heart because when I was a kid, summer of 1979. I was going to a day camp where we were learning about how to go camping, and we were going to go to this big camping thing on 4th of July, but it was raining, so they delayed it by a day. And so I went to White Flint Mall to watch Prophecy with my friend Joey Moyer and watch this thing about this giant mutant bear. There's a fantastic scene, one of my favorite scenes, where this kid's in one of those little like mummy sleeping bags, and he gets up to try to hop away from it, and the bear just hits him, and he goes flying and it's great. It's really fun. And anyway, the next day when I'm sleeping in the tent and we're hearing the fireworks in the town nearby going off, boom, boom, it scared the crap out of me because I was thinking a giant mutant salami bear is coming to eat me. So anyway, Prophecy, it is, again, playing on Amazon Prime, Paramount Plus, Epix, and DirecTV. It stars Robert Foxworth, Talia Shire, Amand Asante, and Richard Dysart. So, I mean, it's got a good cast, and so...
come on, that movie, man.
Is wonderful? Is that the word you're looking for, Bill?
I'll just put in one thing. Robert Foxworthy is an environmental scientist who's there to investigate poisoned lake, right? So what does he do? He goes out fishing. He catches these giant mutated salmon, cooks them up, and serves them to his pregnant wife.
And your point
that's the kind of scientist we need. What an amazing movie.
It's amazing, all right.
Yeah.
And speaking about being eaten by a giant salami bear, Renee, what have you got for us?
Oh my gosh. So I wasn't really anticipating a theme for this week, but I kind of stumbled upon one. Do you know who directed Children of the Corn?
No, Renee, who directed Children of the Corn?
Thanks for asking, Paul. It was Fritz, forgive me if I'm pronouncing this wrong, Fritz Kirsch. Do you know what else he directed?
No, Renee, what else did he direct?
Children of the Corn 2?
Probably, God help us. Oh, Jesus. He directed a movie called Tough Turf. I'm pretty sure that I saw this like a million times when I was a kid on like USA Up All Night. Oh my God, this movie is so corny. It's got James Spader in it, and I believe Robert Downey Jr. is in it. But his love interest is played by Kim Richards, and I know everybody's like, who the hell is that? She was in a show that I can't remember the name of. Sorry. But she is the older sister of Kyle Richards, who was the little girl in Halloween who came back for Halloween Kills. You remember that? Evil Dies Tonight. You remember?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
So anyway, thanks, Paul. I appreciate it. So James Spader, he's like the new guy, and he's, like typical James Spader character, like preppy asshole, gives off that air of having some like old money in the family, but he's in love with this girl, and she's from like the bad side of town, and where people wear bandanas and stuff. And yeah, so they get, it's kind of a common story. I don't really know. Is it, Maria West Side Story kind of a thing? I'm not really sure. Anyway, silly, ridiculous, Tough Turf, available on Tubi. Yeah. There you go.
I just have to interject about Kim Richards. She was in the Witch Mountain movie.
Thank you.
Oh,
yeah.
Thank you.
The TV show you were thinking of was Nanny and the Professor. And,
Phoebe Figularly. And you've got to sing that song to take us out.
Oh no, I've already got one picked out, but I could sing it as a bonus if you want.
Oh, that is a bonus. Hey,
Sugar Lily is a silly name, and so many silly things keep happening. Oh, but see, now I'm jumping in the wrong time. But go ahead. Sorry, interrupt. I can do the whole song actually.
You can.
I sing it to my cat.
Oh, jeez. Haven't they suffered enough? Yeah, Renee did remind me of something though when she said "Up All Night" that we just recently had what I think is a big loss in the podcasting community when Gilbert Gottfried completely unexpectedly passed away after a long secret illness. Another one of those people who I greatly admire because he knew he was having issues and could have used it to milk a whole lot of sympathy. And instead, he just kept it quiet till it was over, which is totally not the way I'm going to do it. Just want to let everyone know about that now. And he was fantastic. And his podcast, if you think Gilbert Gottfried's just a guy with an annoying voice, please check out that podcast. If you like our podcast, you're going to like his, because they find people from, famous people, not so famous people, folks who grew up and watched all these wonderful films, and it's an amazing podcast. Him and his partner Frank Santapadre, who's a great researcher, just put on just a wonderful thing, and I'm gonna miss him. I really am. That was like my second or third favorite podcast after ours, of course.
Of course, yeah.
So rest in peace, Gilbert.
Yes, I agree.
Now that I brought everyone down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say now you
Speaking
brought it, it's time for a song. Paul, why don't you sing us out?
Yeah. Hey Casey, Casey Kasem, why don't you take us out on a down note here?
Yes, I've got a song for us. This one fits my two movies, and it goes out to you, Zach. It's called The Teddy Bear's Picnic. If you go down in the woods today, you're certain for a big surprise. If you go down in the woods today, you better go in disguise.
And as always, here's a summary of all of our recommendations for the weekend of May 6th, 2022. Bill recommended The Black Scorpion, which is currently available on Pluto, and 20 Million Miles to Earth, currently available on Tubi, Roku, and Fubo. Paul recommended Grizzly, currently available on Tubi, Roku, and Hoopla, and Prophecy, which is currently playing on Prime, Paramount Plus, and Epix. Renee recommended Children of the Corn, that's the 1984 version, which is available on Prime, Tubi, Shudder, and Roku, and Tough Turf, which is currently playing on Tubi. And I recommended The Ritual, which is currently available on Netflix, and Rituals, which is currently available on Amazon Prime, Tubi, Shudder, Fandor, and Plex.
Every teddy bear who's been